Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the regular meeting of the Texarkana, Texas City Council. Today is Monday, February the 27th, 2023. Happens to be my daughter Olivia's birthday today, so she turned 21, so special day. So this time I'd like to call on our City Secretary, Jennifer Evans, to provide a roll call. And by the way, I'd like to welcome all of you joining us in the audience this evening, as well as those who are joining us online, and especially to our guests this evening. So, Ms. Evans, roll call, please.
Ms. Page?
Here.
Ms. Williams?
Here.
Mr. Davis?
Here.
Ms. White?
Here.
Ms. Matlock?
Here.
Ms. Hart?
We do have a full council this evening, and our invocation and pledge will be led by Councilmember Betty Williams. If everyone would please stand.
Bow your heads, please. As we go forth into our world, may God be within us to refresh us, around us to protect us, before us to guide us, above us to bless us, and beneath us to hold us up. We ask these blessings in the name of Jesus. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. You may be seated. A week ago Sunday, we had the Run for the Line again this year. There were over 630 runners representing 20 states who were here. And Director Roberts, Terry Roberts on the Arkansas side, he and I were able to fire the shotguns to get the race underway. Beautiful morning, nice, cool, crisp winter morning for the event. And so I understand it was a very, very big success. We had a team from the city who was entered in the contest. Dr. Orr, won't you share with us a bit about that? Isn't it nice to put you on the spot?
Well, sure. So Lisa Thompson, Vashil, and Keith Beeson and myself all ran, and we finished second place. So.
Goodness gracious, way to go.
And I also want to thank our Public Works Department and the Police Department. As I was making my way back north, as you know, I did not run, but as I was making my way back north, our street department, Public Works, they were out in full force making sure intersections were safe, as well as our police department, and want to thank them for their help as well as far as having a very successful race in our community, something that we look forward to. This race benefits the Partnership for the Pathways, which is headed up by Julie Ray and John Harrison, along with their committee members, to provide funding for extending our trails and walkways throughout the community, not only on the Texas side, but on the Arkansas side as well, throughout both cities. And so I want to thank them for the great work that they do as well. In reference to upcoming city council meetings, our next meeting will be held on Monday, March the 13th, followed by Monday, March the 27th at 6 p.m. here in the council chambers. Also, as a reminder, Keep Texarkana Beautiful, the 9th annual Arbor Day tree giveaway will begin at 9 a.m. on Saturday, March the 4th, that's this coming Saturday, at Spring Lake Park across from the splash pad. And these trees are free, and they're available while supplies last. And volunteers will bring the seedlings to each vehicle, as this event will be a drive-through event only. Also, relating to Parks and Recreation activities, as far as saving the date, on March the 7th at 2 p.m., we'll have the official ribbon cutting and opening of the NFC Outdoor Fitness Court, and that is at Spring Lake Park down at the south end of the park near the pond and the Bramlett softball field. And so once again, that'll be on March the 7th, Tuesday, March the 7th at 2 p.m. The company that provided the equipment for this fitness center, outdoor fitness center, along with AEP, SWEPCO's foundation representation will be there as well for this great event. At this time, we'll move along to our open forum, comments from the public. If there's anyone in the audience this evening who would like to address the council, you're welcome to do so. If you are here this evening to speak on behalf of our public hearing items that we have scheduled, then I ask that you please wait until we get to that particular item on the agenda. We'd be more than happy to listen to your comments at that time. I do have one sheet that's been filled out this evening by Mary G. Bruce, and she would like to address the council this evening on the update on Cap Street. And for those who are speaking this evening, you'll have up to 5 minutes to speak. Is there anyone else in the audience besides Mrs. Bruce who wants to speak? Okay, all right, Ms. Bruce, thank you for being here this evening.
Thank
If you don't
you.
mind, if you'll just please state your name for the record.
My name is Mary G. Bruce.
Okay.
I'm live in the city of Texarkana, Texas, and several years ago, to the council and the mayor and staff of Texarkana, several years ago, I presented a poll to the council and about the street, Cap Street, in front of our church on Cap Street. And there were several options that were given to us at that point in time, and we selected that we would like to have the street, after they had designated it as a dead-end street, we would like for it to be paved and go all the way around. And I think the council may still have, the staff may still have those options that were given. At that point in time, I think it was Ms. Jaster that was here. And we were put on the infrastructure, and I've been coming to the meetings, and I really haven't heard anything concerning that. And I guess I can talk tonight because I think you have items for consideration, and they have things that pertain to streets and building of the streets. So my question is to, what if anything has been done concerning the building of the street that would go around behind our church and come out on Finley Street over by the Finley Park. And we would, there have been some changes that we have at my church on Cap Street. We purchased the school building that was next door, and there has been a street change from residential to commercial for a young man that is going to build a barber shop. And I have pulled several people, and when we have funerals, and if there's an emergency in the area, it's congested. So we really need to have that street done. So, I know that you may not be able to give me any information tonight concerning what will be done, but keep us in mind because, we are growing in that area. The south side of Texarkana seems to be one that has been neglected for so long, and the northern part of Texarkana has been growing, and we like to have the city council or the staff to give me a date or give me some information whenever possible.
Okay. Anything else?
That's about it.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Bruce. We'll have Dr. Ward and staff will follow up with you on a status report on that. So thank you for being here this evening.
I remember this, and it's in the budget, but it's like way ahead. I don't know what year, so that was what we would need to check on to see what year it's supposed to be done, because it is in the budget.
Yes, I do remember this project. I'll have to check as well. I don't remember offhand exactly when it is, but it is on our project list.
Okay, all right. We'll get an update on that. And all right, thank you, Ms. Bruce. All right. Anyone else want to address the council this evening? All right, if not, we'll move along to the appointments to boards, commissions, and committees. Do we have any appointments this evening to boards, commissions, and committees? Okay. We'll move along now to items for consideration. We'll look at the consent items. We have several consent items this evening. Item 1 is to consider approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of the City Council held on February 13th, 2023 at 6 p.m. Item 2, resolution number 2023-024, authorizing the city manager to execute a contract with Stan Excavating of Texarkana, Texas, with funds not to exceed budgeted funds in the fiscal year 2023 Major Street Maintenance Fund, Fund 120, and 2022 bond fund, Fund 425, for concrete replacement services used for city streets for the purpose of making roadway repairs and improvements. Item 3, resolution number 2023-025, authorizing the city manager to execute a contract with Stan Excavating of Texarkana, Texas, for the city's street reconstruction services for asphalt streets, with funds not to exceed budgeted funds in the fiscal year 2023 Major Street Maintenance Fund, Fund 120, and 2022 Bond Fund, Fund 425, to reconstruct city streets. Item 4, resolution number 2023-027, authorizing the city manager to execute a contract with Plumber Associates Incorporated of Fort Worth, Texas, for the development of a hydraulic analysis of the water distribution system and a water distribution system master plan in an amount not to exceed $301,458, with the Texas portion not to exceed $188,592.12. Funds are available in the Utilities 2022-2023 budget in the Texas Capital Improvement Fund. Item 5, resolution number 2023-028, authorizing the city manager to execute a contract with Springbrook Software of Portland, Oregon, for the purchase of financial software in the amount of $150,357.50, with the Texas portion not to exceed $94,063.65. Funds are available in the Utilities 2022-2023 budget in the Texas Technology Fund. Item number 6, resolution number 2023-029, authorizing the city manager to execute a contract with HGAC Buy Board to purchase one M2-106 conventional cab in a total amount not to exceed $145,995.05, with the Texas portion not to exceed $91,334.50. Funds are available in the Utilities 2022-2023 budget in the Equipment Acquisition Fund. Unless a council member would like to pull one or more items for further consideration, I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as it has been approved. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Williams and a second by Councilmember Hart. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The consent agenda has been approved. We'll now move along to item number 7 under action items, ordinance number 2023-016, amending the budget for a $1 million EPA revolving loan fund grant and establishing Fund 245. And I would like to recognize in the audience this evening Ms. Kamisha Scott, and she is with EPA Region 6 in Dallas. And Ms. Scott, we want to welcome you, and I believe you have your mother joining you this evening, and who's also retired from the EPA. She was, you were in the enforcement area, right? She was in the enforcement area, so I was joking with her before the meeting, and I told her, I said, well, you carried a switch around with you with your job to being in enforcement. So I'd like to welcome both of you here this evening, and Ms. Scott, if you have some comments you would like to share, I might ask you just to come over to the podium where the microphone is, where Mrs. Bruce, where she spoke from, and we'll have you provide some remarks, and then we'll have a check presentation. So, yes, ma'am, you can sit. That's fine. If you could stand by the microphone, that way we can pick up your audio.
Absolutely,
I'm sorry.
my apology to the mayor and the council members and the attendees. First of all, thank you so much for just allowing me to be here. Secondly, for participating in our program. And thirdly, for your success in it. I have to start off, but I cannot go any further without bragging and boasting about Dr. Orr, Dr. David Orr, and Daphne Ryan. I have had the pleasure to work with Dr. Orr for nearly a decade, so that tells you how old he is, not me. And Daphne that much longer, so much so, Daphne left and then came back. So it has been a pleasure the entire time working. They have made my job easier. Their public service is immaculate, and you have a jewel right here in the city of Texarkana. So thank you so much for participating. You have an amazing, and one thing I want to highlight about how excellent they have performed is that the city of Texarkana applied for a very, very highly competitive grant, and they competed with the nation, the entire nation. And they've done so well that for the next 15 years, actually, it started in 2012, but from this point on, the next 15 years, you've done so well that all you have to do is spend your money, meet a threshold. Daphne does her magic. She goes in the kitchen and pull all those datas and everything together, and she sends I don't want to say make it seem like it's just a questionnaire, but she meets the threshold, gives the response, and going forward for the next 15 years, there's no competition. She just submits it to us, and you have more money. That's how good and how well both Daphne and David have performed. So,
Daphne, did you hear that?
We gotta have,
I don't want to take too much time, but again, thank you for having us. It's an amazing opportunity to be here. I want to continue as long as I'm working at EPA to be a part of the growth that they've started. So thank you again.
Okay, well, we certainly thank you for your support and the EPA support. This is a very important program that we have in our community. The funding is certainly needed and greatly appreciated, and we want to thank you for all the hard work that you do working with our staff here. We do have an incredible staff, I will say that, and that makes your job hopefully easier as far as in that capacity. And so we're going to have a check presentation. Dr. Orr, did you have anything you wanted to share, or Daphne?
Sure, I just wanted to state for the record, we didn't pay Kamisha to say those kind words. But,
They absolutely did
but
not.
I do want to just say real quick, and she alluded to the decade that we've known Kamisha, but I'll tell you that she has been a partner through and through with EPA. She's been our program officer for over 10 years now. And she stuck with us through every up and down. This funding is what was used, and we consider, so Kamisha's the good side of the EPA. You alluded to her mom on the regulatory side. Kamisha's the good side with economic development, and she stuck with us through thick and thin on the Hotel Grimm, on Texarkana National Bank, you name it. When we bring something to her, it's never a no. It's, okay, how can we make this work? How can we make this work for your community? And so I just want to publicly thank Kamisha for all her hard work on behalf of Texarkana.
Very good. I think that deserves a round of applause. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a check presentation down front. I'm going to ask the council members, if you don't mind, if you'll join me down front. And then we'll have Ms. Scott and David and Daphne. And David, if there's anyone else from the staff that needs to join us, just let us know. I've got you and Daphne coming up, and we'll have a check presentation, a photo op. Okay, at this time, we move along to our first briefings. We only have one item this evening relating to first briefings.
Mayor.
Item 1, ordinance number
Mayor.
20. I'm sorry.
you may want to have a motion and second and a vote to approve that $1 million.
That's exactly right, because we want to be sure to keep that, all right? So, okay, I apologize. We do need to take action on ordinance number 2023-016, and I've been reminded of that by the city attorney, so we will certainly move forward with that. So, is there a motion for approval of the ordinance? We have a motion by Councilmember Matlock and a second by Councilmember Hart. Ms. Evans, the caption, please.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Texarkana, Texas, establishing the EPA Brownfields BIL Revolving Loan Fund, Fund 245, and amending budgeted revenue and expenditures for the fiscal year ending September 30, 2023, to include the 2022 EPA Brownfields Revolving Loan Fund in the amount of $1 million and establishing an effective date.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Once again, Ms. Scott, thank you very much, and glad to have you here with Scott as well, so thank you for being here. All right. All right, now we'll move along to our first briefings, ordinance number 2023-026, amending Chapter 130, Streets and Sidewalks of the Land Development Code and amending the master fee list for Chapter 130, license and permit fees. And we'll have a public hearing on this item at our next meeting on March the 13th, and council vote at that same time. And Jonathan Wade is going to brief us on this item, and then after Jonathan completes his remarks, City Attorney Jeff Lewis has a few comments to make as well. Jonathan, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council members. My name is Jonathan Wade. I'm City Engineer, City of Texarkana, Texas Public Works Department. Ordinance number 2023-026 is composed of revisions and updates to the Code of Ordinances for Streets and Sidewalks that staff has determined to be necessary and be in the best interest of the city. Primary goal for this revision is to require that pedestrian facilities be constructed alongside newly developed properties. It also brings city street design standards up to meet current industry standards, updates fees in the master list, and it also makes textual revisions for ease of reference. Attached with this ordinance are several summaries that kind of go over what these revisions may be. It also includes comparisons, changes to the master fee list. It also includes 2 letters of support, one from Wagner Creek Crossing and one from Partnership for the Pathways. If you don't mind, I'll go through a couple of highlights in the summaries here.
Okay.
130-2, we're adding construction requirements for sidewalks and shared use paths. Establishing grade and sidewalks will be up to the property owner, and the city engineer will inspect. Developers and property owners will be required to construct sidewalks along the street when they're developing or redeveloping commercial properties. Sidewalks will also be required for new residential subdivisions. For existing corridors, property owners will be required to construct sidewalks when improving the property to increase its value. But this will not apply to existing corridors where sidewalks do not exist, nor are in the city active transportation plan, unless owner receives notice from city engineer. It also defines maintenance responsibility of these sidewalks. It also adds an appeal process to the zoning board of adjustment. There is a one-time license fee added for the CB district of $100. Substantial revision incorporating elements of current changed license fee for all surface, airspace, and subsurface encroachments to be 10% of fair market value, which will be determined by the city. And let's see, it also redefines excavation types and requirements and fees, which are seen in the master fee changes attachment. It requires a traffic impact study for all new commercial driveways, and adds a preface that all streets and alleys should have a traffic impact study and an individual engineered design completed for pavement and subgrade. Subgrade testing requirements have changed from testing being required for every 500 feet to 300 feet. And those are the most substantial revisions included in this ordinance. We believe this to be in the best interest of the city, and staff recommends approval.
Thank you, Jonathan. Mr. Lewis?
My little PS is on high-rise signs. It is a section of the Streets and Sidewalks Code, and you can see it at the bottom of packet page 135. Public Works and I were scratching our collective heads. Why is high-rise signs in the Streets and Sidewalks section? The only rationale I could find is that it was given authority to the city engineer to address building specifications. Public Works thought, let's put that under the chief building official, not the city engineer. And with that slight change, what I would ask the council for permission is to bring this very small section back to you on the consent agenda at the next meeting, merely relocating it to another part and more appropriate section of the code. And then later in the meeting, you can consider the Streets and Sidewalks section. But I would need your permission to place it on the consent agenda for the next meeting.
Okay, very good. Any objections to council are doing that? Okay, that'd be fine. Thank you, Mr. Lewis. All right, any questions for Mr. Lewis or for Jonathan this evening on this matter? Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate the information. At this time, move along to our public hearings. We do have two public hearings scheduled this evening. Item 1 is resolution number 2023-020, adopting legislative priorities for the city of Texarkana, Texas. At this time, I'll declare the public hearing open. If there's anyone who would like to address the council on this item, if you'll please come forward and state your name for the record. Not seeing anyone coming forward this time, I'll declare the public hearing closed. Is there a motion for approval of the resolution?
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Page and a second by Councilmember Davis. This pertains to a resolution, so there's not a caption. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The resolution passes. Item number 2 is resolution number 2023-021, authorizing a written services agreement for provision of the city services to Racetrack Incorporated site, US 59 and South Kings Highway, in the event the City Council adopts an ordinance for full purpose annexation of the tract of land. And I would also like to recognize Mr. Scott Griffin, who is an engineer with Racetrack Incorporated. And Mr. Griffin, you've made several trips here as we've covered this particular matter on our various agendas. And so we want to thank you for being here this evening. Is there anything that we need to know? Okay, all right. So at this time, I'll declare the public hearing open on this item. If anyone would like to address the council, please come forward and state your name for the record. At this time, I'll declare the public hearing closed. Is there a motion for approval of the resolution?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Hart and a second by Councilmember Williams. Once again, this is a resolution, so there's not a caption. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The resolution passes. This concludes our public hearings portion of the agenda, and we'll now move along to the city manager's report. Dr. Orr?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Just one update to pass along to you tonight, and this is on our audit schedule. So our FY 2021 audit is in final review now, and we anticipate that will be presented, at the next council meeting on March 13th. This audit is the last step in completing our post-cyber attack recovery efforts of our financial system. I just want to thank Kristen and her team for all their work on catching everything up. And then also just an update on our current year audit, which is FY 22. The work papers are now complete, and tentatively they're scheduled to come out that same week on March 13th. So we'll have this current year audit complete hopefully in May of 23. So everything will be caught back up at the end of this year. And just one other update, just a reminder that there will be a group of us going to the Legislative Summit in Austin later this week, so we'll be out until Thursday. That's it.
Okay, all right. Thank you, David. Appreciate the report. We'll now move along to administrative comments. Any comments from the council to the staff this evening? Okay. And any final comments from staff to council this evening? No further comments? Okay. And at this time, the City Council will convene into closed session pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.071, consultation with the city attorney, and Section 551.074, personnel matters. For everyone here and those watching on live stream, the council does not anticipate taking any action after closed session other than reconvening in open session and adjourning the meeting. And so at this time, we will end our live stream. I want to thank those of you who have joined us this evening in person and those who have joined us online, and certainly hope that you have a great evening. Thank you.